hours today. Nice to see everybody.
Hey everyone, my name is Jack Williams with
Ehsan, Kassim.
and welcome to another episode of our Seminole Script Show, our weekly, midweek show, talking about what happened last week, what's going to come up this week, and what's going on in practice. Let's just jump right into it here. 9-0, right?
9-0. Seminole ACC clinched ACC championship. A spot in the ACC championship game, as Jack wrote about after the game. I think one of the players, they almost cried. They almost cried.
Yeah. Kalen DeLoach.
Just a guy he's been through a lot.
Just been a guy that's been here for a long time. Ja'Kai Douglas wasn't as emotional, but had some good things to say about it too. I mean, this program is made up of a lot of transfers and stuff like that. But at the same time, there are the guys here and there that have been through when Norvell first got here, and people were asking for they're asking for him to be fired, and things were not going their way and stuff like that. Now they're at a place where a lot of them, including Kalen, didn't think they could get to.
I think that's one thing that's underrated, but what this program has gone through a lot. Because it's when you're calling for firing of a coach, you're generally saying that it's not just the coaching staff. You're saying the players aren't good enough, that they're not good enough. So, and the players can see social media when people are going on there criticizing them, saying things about them. They are humans as well. It's like people lose sight of that. So for for Kalen DeLoach, we talked to him early at ACC Media Days, and Jack did a story back then about just what it meant for him to be able to go up there and represent the team after everything he's been through, and to represent the team as a favorite when they were at ACC Media Days, rather than just being there just to be there.
Right. So
Kalen DeLoach is a player that we love talking to. He always offers great insight. Very smart player, very smart kid. So it's always fun to talk to him. So it's nice to see someone like him earn what he got, And we can talk a little about the Pittsburgh game. Jack was up there. I covered remotely. What did you see that you liked up there?
Well, the biggest thing that we saw was how that Florida State was able to adjust without its star players. Both Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson were not playing in that game. And they needed someone to step up big time. Kentron Poitier was not available as much just because they were trying to limit him because he's still, coming back from an injury and stuff like
Destin
that.
Hill was limited. No Deuce Spann. Hakeem Williams was still out.
Yeah, they had a very depleted, wide receiver room that, eventually it's going to get to 100%, but it wasn't there yet against Pitt, so they need someone to step up. So they moved Ja'Kai Douglas, who I believe is like 5'9", to the outside, and it's a position he hadn't played since his freshman and sophomore years. Didn't get too many reps of it. Last year he played the last 7 games last year because he was injured. And then this year, he was injured in the preseason as well. So he's, starting to come back now and, get into the groove of things now. They moved him to the outside in the Pitt game. And there were some questions of whether or not he was going to be as good as he did. He showed up 100%. He led the receiving game. And he was that target for Jordan Travis. It was a game where people were like, I don't know what's going to happen with Johnny and Keon out. And he stepped up into that role big time. He didn't find the end zone, but he did a lot of work in just moving the offense.
Yeah, career high, 6 receptions, 115 yards. If you remember correctly in practice, who said Ja'Kai Douglas is a better, like if he works on his catching, he struggled a little bit with that. If he works on his catching, he's a NFL caliber receiver. You remember who said that?
I don't.
I did.
Oh, you said that.
I said that. So, I've been someone that's always been pretty high on Ja'Kai Douglas. I love his route running. I think he's a great route runner. He does a good job of getting in and out of breaks. He does a good job of getting open. He was constantly open during fall camp, so it was upsetting to see when he got hurt because I thought he had so much potential that he was going to realize it. I thought he was going to be a favorite to start slot, and then Winston Wright obviously got some starts there. Destin Hill was listed as a co-starter, then Winston Wright left. Him and Destin have kind of split time, and now I think Ja'Kai's probably won that job, which not to say anything bad about Destin, but Destin's a freshman, he's going to have time, but Ja'Kai Douglas is a talent. He's only 5'9", but he can move, he can run well. He returned punts last week, which is significant for him. So he's a very talented player. Obviously, they trust him. Jordan Travis has a lot of faith in him. So it was good to see him have a step up, have a big game because he's been through a lot. Last year he dealt with injuries, this year injuries. He's been someone that's been here for a while. I believe he's been here. I believe he signed with early on, he's a redshirt junior, so I think he's been here for a little bit. So.
Yeah, he was in the class of, I believe he was in the class of 2020 in high school, so he has been here for a while. And
so
he's been here, yeah.
He got here at the beginning when the program was not looking great. So
yeah.
He's been through the ups and downs. He's someone who's seen it all.
Yeah, it was nice to see that the guys that had been here for a long time really were the ones that were able to have a platform in that Pitt game and be a part of getting to the ACC championship game now.
Other than Braden Fisk, who you got to talk to, who's obviously a transfer from Central Michigan. I think you guys had a fun conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, he went to Western Michigan, he played in the Middle American Conference for a bit. He's a graduate transfer.
Maction.
Yeah, and he played there, and I asked a question about him because they played up a game against my alma mater, Ball State, in 2020 to go to the MAC championship game, and it was a crazy play that ended where Western Michigan did what most teams do, where they lateral the ball and they keep lateraling it and see how far they can get. Well, they were doing it, and the Ball State player, it looked like they took down the Western Michigan player, and they thought the game was over, so all the Ball State players started rushing the field. The play was not blown dead yet, so everyone had to run back, and then, including the Western Michigan players, had to run back off the field too, and then they still couldn't get the ball carrier down. The ball carrier ended up running all the way into the end zone. However, it was called back after all that. The one thing that called it back was an illegal forward pass. Western Michigan lost the game. Ball State ended up going to the MAC championship game and winning that game. It was a wonderful, wonderful time for me. It wasn't so great for Braden Fisk, but I asked him about it, and he kind of laughed. He's like, that play still sticks in my head. He's like, thank you for bringing that up, by the way. But
you a part of that Western Michigan team in 2020 that had that crazy play against Ball State to decide the conference championship game?
Yeah.
I guess with that in mind, you guys are locking it up a little bit more, comfortably. I guess how does it feel, in that context?
No, that's funny you brought that up. No, it's awesome. I mean, like I said, to be in this position, to be 9-0 and ranked, and everything, all the above is just amazing. It's a blessing for me, a blessing for this team. But that play still sticks in my mind, that's for sure. But appreciate you bringing that up.
No, I asked him too about just the opportunity about getting to a championship game a little bit more less chaotically, and obviously most guys in the roster, he's very blessed to have the opportunity and stuff like that. And he's been a player that's been. I knew going into the portal he was going to leave an impact, but I don't know how big of an impact people thought he was going to have this year, and just what he's really done on the defensive line.
He's really good. He started playing, across from Fabian a little bit, next to Jared Verse, next by Patrick Payton. So he's been an impact on the line. One thing I want to talk about is the column I wrote after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Is the win was a testament to the culture and to the depth they built up. Mike Norvell could have they had players. Ja'Kai Douglas is a player who could have transferred out. He could have easily transferred out.
Yeah.
We've seen other receivers transfer out
Mm-hmm.
when they're not getting opportunities, or Keon Coleman's coming in. Johnny Wilson stole the spot. Winston Wright was a player that they had huge impact. Destin Hill comes in as a freshman. Hakeem Williams has high expectations as a freshman. Frederick Jacobs had a great fall and was ascending before he had injuries of his own.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have been easy for Ja'Kai Douglas to be like, oh look, I'm not going to get my playing time here. Let me go somewhere else.
Right.
He stuck around. Kalen DeLoach is another guy who stuck around.
Yeah.
So these are guys that stuck around and helped build the depth of this team, because we saw how important that is.
That was huge on Saturday.
So I think that is something that we cannot understate enough. Is yes, Norvell's built this team to the transfer portal, but the depth has been built up to a point that they can go without a star player and do well. Kyle Morlock had a good game. Well, he played limited snaps, but in the limited snaps he played a decent game. That's another player.
I mean the tight end room has just been.
Kyle Morlock got a shout out from Jordan Travis today. When we were talking to him, he mentioned Kyle Morlock specifically about stepping up.
I mean, in games like that, just in games in general, Morlock has been kind of the placeholder in the first in the first few snaps of the drive, or even the first two drives where the receivers might be still finding their game and stuff like that, or the running game is not yet going yet. Morlock has always been that guy that's just been open and is able to continuously move the ball down the field and being that buffer before the receivers are able to get going and stuff like that. He's been great. The tight end room's just been so deep with them. We've seen a lot of what Marquise Douglas lately. Obviously, Jaheim Bell has just been a beast this year. The tight ends have been. I've talked a lot about them this year, but they've just played a really clutch role this season for Florida State.
They've been an important role. They've done a good job. They're talented room.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receiver room, we saw more Darian Williamson, is a player that how many great catches does he make in practice? At least one or two a practice, and then it's finally great to see when he does it in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Vandrevius Jacobs had a key catch in that game, got some playing time. Some of that we've got to see in practice do a lot of things, but I still have questions about how his jersey is more faded than other ones, the practice jersey, but that's not important.
Listen, when I was in middle school and in cross country, we all wore these yellow shirts, and mine was a lot more like faded and stuff like that. The reason was because my dad doesn't know how to use bleach when we're washing stuff. So me might have the same situation.
Maybe. I have questions. If Jacob, so you want to answer that question, please? I talk about the media core every day.
Yeah, it's one of the mysterious whys of the Florida State world.
We have a lot better things to be talking about doing, but your jersey, But anyways, on the practice this week, we saw positive development today.
We saw Keon was in practice, Johnny was practicing.
Keon and Johnny were both practicing and not just practicing, making plays. Keon Coleman had a couple of great grabs from Jordan Travis. Look, Chris running, Johnny Wilson was out there, practice on Tuesday, practice today. He was out there making some nice catches today. So, hey, positive development coming for the wide receiver room.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially in this game coming up, that people would definitely want to see those two ball out of anything, and it's good to get them back towards the end of the regular season. I mean, the offense just looked generally good in these last two practices, just moving well.
Yeah, no, I mean, we watched they do 2-minute situations in the last during their first thing, first 11 on major 11 on thing. And yesterday we saw something that doesn't happen often. The offense scored on 3 plays, and the offense scored on 3 more plays. On 3 plays total as a drive, and they scored twice, and that was a session. There was extra point, but there was not extra It was the best session we've seen. I've seen the offense this year. Today they look crisp again. There's more energy. We'll get to that in a second, but there's more energy because they're playing someone important this week.
In Miami of Ohio.
Miami of Ohio.
Miami of Ohio. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they have a huge game this weekend in Miami. But before we move on, any thoughts on you want to close any thoughts on practice?
No, I think that they're very, from what I seen, that they look very close to hitting a stride, very, very close to doing that. Just in practice and stuff like that, I think Norvell's been the happiest I've ever seen him and stuff like that. And you constantly hear about, well, the offense hasn't played its best game this year, the defense hasn't played its best game yet. I think we're very, very close to seeing that. It could possibly happen this weekend. I mean, I think things are trending really good for them right now. That's what I've seen for practice, and I think it could line it up for a special weekend this weekend.
Definitely. This weekend, Miami, 3:30 kickoff, ABC. I think I can speak for both of us when I say we're kind of sad there was not a night game at Doak Campbell for Miami.
I mean, yeah,
that's a late night for us. It's a lot more work, but hey,
it's one of those environments you want to experience. Yeah,
because that Duke game was fun. That was loud. I think it's probably going to be very, very loud, but it's a different feel at nighttime. Obviously, daylight savings, it's going to get darker early anyway.
Yeah, I think I've been seeing around to the people this is the last night game at Doak Campbell. There's still one more night game left. Technically, it's the North Alabama game for some reason that's starting at 6:30, which everyone could they could show their displeasure if you want to and speak for us, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. But
on the CW.
On the CW, we will get all the tweets from the Sickos committee, because the ACC CW's games are always the ones that get on the Sickos committee tweets and stuff like the tweeters. Oh my god,
Xers.
But Xers, yeah. But I mean, it's a 3:30 start. It should be a fun environment, even if the sun is out. Just because people show up for this game, and they've mentioned at practice too, Norvell, all the coaches, not all the coaches, well, probably all the coaches too, but all the players saying that there are 2 games they talk about all throughout the preseason, all throughout the year: Florida and this one. I mean, it's a big deal to them.
Yeah, I mean, you come to Florida State, yes, to play the other games, Clemson, NC State, Pittsburgh, blah blah. All these other schools. You come to Florida State, play those games, but the reason you come to Florida State, the reason you fall in love with Florida State is because of the rivalry with Florida, the rivalry against Miami. Most of these players have played against each other in high school, in middle school. They know each other. So this is a significant moment. This is there's so many players that we could go through. Patrick Payton's one that comes off the mind of players from Miami. Jordan Travis is not from Miami, but he mentioned that it's not his favorite team.
They're Palm Beach, yeah, so in the South Florida area, yeah.
But he mentioned today, he's like, that's not Miami's not been my favorite team.
No.
I'm paraphrasing here, but he said that. So the rivalry is real. These players, these coaches, they're not going to downplay the significance of this game, but they're also not going to play it up too much. They will talk about the importance of this game because it's winning state title. This is more for Norvell than the players itself. Like, it helped you win recruiting as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, all of you can talk about it. It's a big deal, this game and stuff like that. It doesn't matter where each team is this year. Hence, the way things have gone this year, where FSU's having a really good season and Miami is
A kneel down from being 7-2.
That's your joke for the week.
That's
your joke for the week.
That was not the joke. I saw the joke. And you said, don't worry.
I told Ehsan this week he is allowed one kneel down joke this week. So apparently that wasn't it.
That wasn't
just
it.
mentioning it.
That was just a mention. They were like, legitimately like Miami's looked unfavorably upon by one play. Like obviously they struggled against NC State. Who was the other loss to?
Was it Clemson? They beat Clemson.
They beat Clemson.
And once you just said that. Oh God, they beat Texas A&M.
They beat A&M, so they have.
No, that was last year. Oh, I was gonna say Middle Tennessee.
Well, either way,
they lost to someone.
They lost. UNC. That's what it was, and that was they controlled the first half. Tez Walker went off in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So Miami, UNC, NC State's not a great loss, but UNC lost. And Georgia Tech has been better than we thought they would be. But yeah, I mean, this is a Miami team that. Depending on what day it is, depending on what week it is,
you don't know.
It could be a competitive game. We don't know what Tyler Van Dyke will get. 11 turnovers in the last 4 starts. But beginning of the season, he looked like a guy that looked like his freshman Tyler Van Dyke, who was in the conversation for Heisman and could have been a top 10 draft pick.
Well, yeah. I mean, earlier in the year, this team was a consistent top 25 team, and then things. I think. Honestly, it was that Georgia Tech loss that really kind of sent things overboard and stuff like that. And things kind of just kept spiraling and stuff like that. So, I mean, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what team is going to come to Tallahassee this week for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting because, last week they scored 6 points and scored an offensive touchdown. But we've seen them go off. We know how good Tyler Van Dyke is.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Norvell's mentioned several times, Tyler Van Dyke is who they're planning on starting.
That's what they're preparing for, yeah.
Obviously, Emery, the backup, could play. He's a guy that Florida State recruited that they like. So they know him. They've seen high school tape of him, obviously, they recruited him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Clemson tape of him. He started against Clemson in the victory.
Mm-hmm.
So there's tape on him. Tyler Van Dyke is a known product who has struggled this year, but you never know. Rivalry game, this could be his last time playing this game.
That's true, and I mean, I think Jordan Travis really, really wants to win this game, considering how he talked about how much he doesn't like Miami.
He does not like Miami
in the press conference, and I think a lot of guys don't like Miami, but he really doesn't like Miami. They had some big games against them too.
By the time you guys are watching this, I'll already have a story about how Jordan Travis talks about, how that Miami game in 2021. 4th and 13 year in Doak Campbell changed his career and his life. It's gonna be a fun story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's he's someone. It's interesting story. Jordan Travis is someone that had one game could define you, one game could change you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I guess how are you feeling about the Miami game? Is there a certain way, or do we do the predictions in the podcast?
Yeah, you're gonna hear our predictions in the podcast.
Those will be in the podcast.
So check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But. Yeah, I mean, any other thoughts on Miami, this game?
No, it's going to be a fun game. I think the environment's going to be a lot of fun, even, again, despite that the sun will be out. But it will be gone by the end of the game. But
one interesting thing it should be fun. One interesting thing we were told is, media parking, usually they give it out, passes to as many people as they can. This time they told us, they're we're going to have to limit it because that tells you the importance of this game, who could be here for this game. Miami media is probably going to travel because it's not that far.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State's media, even people that don't usually are out there, might cover. You might get athletic person out here. You might get, So it's going to be it's going to be a game that's going to be well covered.
There's such a demand for this game as well, too, just with the fact of that, you have a very successful team right now, Florida State, and as much as people will want to discredit Miami and stuff like that, you have to admit it. They bring a lot of attention no matter where they go, just because of
Miami's Miami.
Well, it was just everything they have surrounding them. So I mean, it's always going to be a game that brings in a lot of pull, and it makes sense why they wanted this to be the ABC slot for this, because I know they probably wanted to get this game on ABC, because the other option, if it was a night game, it would have been on ACC network, and that would have been a big no-no. I don't know what they're doing at night on ABC. I don't know if there's any sort of non-sports event going on, or if there is a game.
There's probably another game, but
I don't know. It will be out at 3:30. We'll just wrap this up here. Ehsan, where can they find all of our content at?
Yeah, nullsports.com, Tallahassee.com. You can find our stuff. Jack, what are our socials for the chair?
Yeah, mine is Jack G. Williams. Ehsan's is Ehsan_Kassim. You can find all of our Noel Sports stuff just about everywhere on X/Twitter, or on Facebook. On Instagram is TLH Noel Sports. I think that's just about all of our socials. But yeah, we will see you all.
Please like and subscribe.
Yes, please like and subscribe. But we will see you all on Saturday.